Welcome back to the Creatively Challenged podcast. This is Ryan Nolan. I'm seated on the floor across from Mike Stuglis. How you doing?
We're sitting Indian style.
That's right.
Because our table's in young Daniel Stewart's room. And Dan is in Champaign right now.
Mm-hmm.
And we are recording the first part of our podcast without him.
And the third part.
And then we will be doing reviewing it later, and that's where we will conjoin them. So if this episode sounds a little dysfunctional, that's why.
We're usually sounding pretty dysfunctional here, though.
It's a good point. Your lips are already starting to stain from the wine.
We've been drinking wine. We're making a nice Italian sauce today, and we're drinking the wine left over from the wine we needed to cook with. And goddamn, it's pretty good. We got you on a wine kick now recently with all this cooking we've been doing.
It's a good cab.
So, like, why did you never drink wine in the first place?
I really just didn't like it.
Really? But then what changed your mind? I mean, you said your mom always had it around.
Yeah, but it's like I'd take a sip and I'd be like, I don't like that. It wasn't really until I kind of forced myself to have a couple glasses to where you acquire it.
Yeah.
It's the same thing as having a beer. Like, I didn't like my first beer.
God.
My first beer was a High Life. I hated it. My
favorite
favorite beer is High Life now.
Yeah.
So I guess that's just how it goes. But yeah, it's more acquired. Same
Definitely.
thing with bourbon. I think you just kind of got to push through your first couple, and then you're kind of used to it. Although I can't get used to stuff like vodka and tequila.
Yeah. Well, maybe one day when we get older and gross like that. It seems like all the foods and drinks that adults cherish are things that we just seem gross. So like, I'm calling it that maybe in the future, maybe 10 years down the road, we're gonna love that stuff. Just because maybe we've had enough experience with the foods we have, we want more tastes.
I could definitely see myself opening up to things like rum and tequila more. Not that I'm against drinking them now, but I don't necessarily like the flavor. But like I don't know if I'll ever like vodka. Like my dad doesn't like vodka. My brother doesn't like vodka. I just don't think it's a really it doesn't really run in our family. My uncle doesn't like it. My grandfather doesn't like it. Just none of us in our family really like vodka.
Well, it was,
and I've had enough.
You had like bad experiences with it, right?
Yeah, it was the first one that like everyone has like that alcohol. Vodka was definitely for me. And it's not even like I had a bad night. It was just I had way too much of it to the point where I just got sick of the taste because I had too many connections of like waking up with like an aching hangover or something like that.
It's worth trying maybe later down the road. Like good vodka is actually really nice, especially with a mixed drink.
Goose, like Grey Goose is okay.
But there's even better ones in Grey Goose.
Obviously,
one of my favorites that's like a $17 bottle is Belvedere.
Yeah,
that's really good. But I don't know. It's all very nuanced, and I'm sure we'll come around in a few different flavors when we're older. But
this is not a podcast about alcohol.
No,
this is a podcast about somewhat stuff related to movies. So this first segment, we're gonna cover some news.
That's right.
Some movie news. And let's see. Let's pull up the old laptop here. All right. Let's see what the first story is we got on this. All right. Colin Trevorrow. He directed movies like Jurassic Park, and he just had a movie earlier this year. It sucked ass. I kind of forgot what it's called.
He directed Jurassic World?
World.
Okay.
Not Spielberg.
Not the first. Yeah,
not Spielberg. And he was going to direct episode 9 of Star Wars. And now they were talking about doing rewrites a couple weeks ago, and now it is officially stating that Colin Trevorrow is exiting as the director. What do you think this says about the? Do you think they're probably not happy with the direction as a whole? Because he was involved in the script too. They probably just weren't happy with the direction he was going after Rian Johnson, I'm guessing.
So when it's saying exit, it's not that he quit; he got fired.
Yes, he has exited. He is not directing the movie anymore.
Well, and correct me if I'm wrong, Mike, but the guy didn't have a lot of experience with movies like this prior to this.
I mean, he did Jurassic World, which is a massive blockbuster.
Yeah. Excuse me. Wine. I think he, like maybe he got affected by the fact that the movie had to drastically be rewritten from Carrie Fisher's death, because episode 9 had to have severe rewrites because of it. Maybe he was in turn, like the direction he wanted, maybe got affected by this, but I hope they get a good director for it, for the reshoots, you know?
I wonder if it's like they just really liked the direction that Ryan Johnson was going, who's the episode 8 director.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe they're just like, you know what? Maybe we just want him to finish this story out. And maybe they didn't feel too firmly about Trevorrow. But I never like seeing, I mean, we've talked about before, it's too easy to judge, but I never like seeing like rewrites and director exits and stuff because it just doesn't have a good image before the movie's going to be pumped out.
Let's not say like this movie's doomed.
No, absolutely not.
We want it to be great, and we don't need to look at it through the lens where it's going to be negative.
Well, yeah, like episode 7 was good. Episode 8 looks like it's going to be really good, and they're heading in the right direction. So maybe they're just saw something like a bad precursor or something. I don't know, but yeah, I just kind of it's the first news of the week.
All right. Our next story, Drew Goddard, which is a guy who's got his name on a lot of good properties. He produced things like Lost, The Martian, 10 Cloverfield Lane, which is a great movie if you haven't seen it, Daredevil, The Defenders. He did The Good Place, which was a bad NBC show. But this guy's got his name on a lot of different shows, right? And he is rumored, well, actually, it's slotted, that he's going to direct the X-Force spin-off movie featuring Deadpool and Cable.
Some other characters.
For those that don't know, X-Force is kind of even in comics, sort of a spin-off team of X-Men, and they had a movie slotted to do this X-Force movie in the future. It's not for sure what characters are going to be in it.
Wade will be in it.
Yes, but Drew Goddard is directing the spin-off in the far future of this movie, and it's going to feature Deadpool and Cable. So I don't know. Maybe it's just a team-up movie, but that's even what this next Deadpool that's coming out soon is probably going to be, right? So it's kind of weird what this is. But what I'm excited about is that Drew Goddard's got his name on it. The guy, everything he touches for the most part is very, very good. What do you think of this?
Well, especially in the fantasy realm. Defenders was decent. Mm-hmm. Daredevil's great. And he did Lost, which, very first 3 great seasons.
Yeah.
But again, he produced it. But you named off other things he's been involved in, like The Martian and whatnot. So whenever he puts his name on something, it's usually worthwhile. And why wouldn't I be excited for him to do a movie that's gonna have Deadpool in it? It's Deadpool set up so many things for this franchise, because I really feel like they were like, oh, the X-Men property is our favorite and it's our most promising, it makes the most money, and then Deadpool came out and made all this money, had all this commercial and critical success, and they realized they're like, not only can we do more Deadpool movies, but we can possibly do more spin-offs for other characters because this one was successful. And it sets up, like a Guardians of the Galaxy. That's kind of how I describe X-Force, is an offshoot team up. And I think it's awesome that they're not just so heavily reliant on the same characters of Mystique and Professor X and Magneto, that they're actually getting into some other territory. The thing I don't want to see, though, is like this movie to happen and it's just Deadpool's movie. That's the one thing I don't want to happen, because I'd like to see other characters explored. I think he'd be hilarious in a side role too. Yeah.
Well, I mean, let's think about this. With the past 2 Fox movies that were superhero movies, we had Deadpool, we had Logan. And those 2, while we had a great main character, they also were character heavy on other people. Mm-hmm. And we can only hope that would reflect the same in this X-Force movie. We might have very strong characters with strong motivations. Yeah. So I think they've got their head in the right place if they understand to just keep going art before commerce. We have to make good movies that will make money because they're good.
They also seem to be embracing this R rating.
Yeah.
Which is, I love to see that. And Drew Goddard, Daredevil, it doesn't have a rating, but it's an R-rated show.
And it's tasteful.
Very.
Yeah. It's not like it's just we're gonna show guts just because it's very it's gritty, it's brutal.
My favorite, which is like it really like this isn't Marvel big screen, is when the Punisher has like the Irish guy up against the wall and the Irish guy saying some shit about his family, and he just shoots a hole through his face, and gross. They showed it.
It's gross.
It was awesome, but again, it was tasteful to the character.
Yeah.
So with Goddard being involved, I think this is just only more good news.
It's good news.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's our next story?
So, to get a little lighter, the Fox is ordering a retirement community comedy pilot from the It's Always Sunny team writers, like Rob McElhenney and Charlie Day and Glenn Howerton, like all those guys. Now, I don't think they're going to be in the show, but the show is going to be about a retirement community. And, like, if it's, like, anything like It's Always Sunny, to where it's just they're mostly centrally located in this bar and they're just doing stupid shit. Imagine that, but with old people in a retirement community. And if like the lead was Danny DeVito,
That'd be insane.
and he's like an 80-year-old guy with like Alzheimer's, and he's just getting into shit. I could see this just being hilarious.
The only worry I have is that FX usually, much like Fox, how we're talking about, allowed the creators to kind of just go off on their own thing. I don't know if they're going to get that same thing from Fox. That's the only really trouble I have with this. But other than that, like, this sounds really promising.
Well, they also have very dark and like vulgar comedy almost.
On FX, you're saying?
On FX.
Mm-hmm.
And will they be able to do that on Fox?
Yeah.
I don't know. Will it even be the same type of show? I don't know. But like the idea of it is pretty freaking funny.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing, is that I'm just remembered that FX is an offshoot network of Fox. Fox owns FX,
Mhm.
right? So maybe like this might be a little more commercial and accessible to people, but that doesn't always mean that it's bad.
Mm-hmm.
This could be a good show, and I look forward to seeing like maybe a trailer for it in the future. But this was just announced that they're
Yes.
just making it, so we've got what, a year
And,
maybe.
and it's only a pilot.
Oh, yeah.
It might not even air.
Yeah.
You know, like some shows shoot a pilot and they don't even get picked up.
Mhm.
Like Sneaky Pete on Amazon. I think they were tried for CBS. They shot the pilot, and CBS passed on it. And then Bryan Cranston's like, "Fuck it, I'll do it." So he did it, and then Amazon's like, "Oh, Bryan Cranston's involved. We'll pick it up."
Wow.
And then after that first episode, they kind of take the route of like they have more creative freedom. So yeah, it's always scary when like comedies are going to be on network television because they're just this fucking same.
Yeah, for the most
like
part.
then they have the laugh track. Like a laugh track would ruin It's Always Sunny.
Yeah. Oh no. Yeah, because
Although remember the episode last season when they like film Charlie and Mac's mom and they set it up like a television show and they are adding the laugh
That was
tracks.
good.
That was hilarious because it was like a satire on shows that do that.
Yeah, and these guys are smart like that, and if they get enough leeway from the network, this will be probably good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but it's far down, and
Yeah,
if they pass on it, hopefully it gets picked up somewhere else, or we can find a leaked version of the pilot online. I'd love to see it.
Yeah,
It's likely that could happen.
we'll see. What's next?
Well, Gavin O'Connor, the guy who directed The Accountant and Warrior, is to direct Suicide Squad 2. Now, this guy, very experienced director. I think he's made some great movies. I haven't actually seen The Accountant, to tell you the truth. But, that has a sequel coming out, right? We've done a story on that.
I think so. They want to. There hasn't been announced. I think it was announced, but like nothing has gone forward on it.
Okay.
You might be right.
Regardless, Warrior is very great. I haven't seen any of his other stuff, but everyone says that movie's good. The Accountant, that is. And he is going to direct Suicide Squad 2. But as we know, the director doesn't always make the movie great because Warner Brothers kind of tends to get involved a little bit with their movies. And so, he's a great director, but that doesn't mean Suicide Squad 2 is going to be great. Some people do like Suicide Squad, and I'm glad they have that opinion. I'm glad they were able to enjoy it. But should this movie be made?
Well,
I don't know.
This guy's on about the level of director that David Ayer was.
Yeah.
He knew how to film violence. He knew how to film more so action. But he kind of had an eye for that. The Accountant has some great action sequences. Warrior is, I've said it before, it's like my favorite sports movie of all time. Love the story between the brothers in that, and he told it really well. And the fight sequences with Hardy are fucking off the hook awesome, and that kind of put him on the map. So yeah, I really liked. Actually, I saw this, and of the people they'd announced, they talked about like Mel Gibson and stuff. When they said this guy, I'm like, this is maybe something that can put him on the map if he did it well. Now, whether that's said or not, I don't know. We shit on Warner Brothers every week on this show. Every week. So, like, could be good, could be bad. Who fucking knows? Wonder Woman was awesome, but they were even saying for a while David Ayer was going to come back, weren't they? And then he was like, and then he's probably just like, no, fuck you guys. You guys took over. So, like, I don't know what to think, but I like this director a lot, and I think he could do some cool stuff in terms of action and story because he's done it before. So looking at it from that perspective, yeah, I'm excited, but really, it's kind of like, we'll see. Probably not going to be great.
No, but hey, I'll pay to see it.
Yeah.
With every movie we trash on here, we're still regardless gonna see it.
Which
is kind of
every time.
Yeah.
And except the Emoji Movie.
I never plan to see that.
No. But The Accountant, which it looks like him and Affleck worked really well together. I wonder if Batman would just be shoehorned into the Suicide Squad 2 movie, which is totally possible. Yeah. I'm just saying it's totally possible.
It'll sell tickets.
Although it doesn't look like they're on the best terms with Affleck either there.
There's been, like, I've seen so many headlines where he's on, he's off. There was even the statement during Comic-Con that he is for sure still Batman. I don't know if he's going to be Batman.
And then they announced the Batman movie, and they're like, he's not in it. And then I turned to you and Dan, and I'm like, we're not doing this story. We've reported on it 3 weeks in a row.
But that was something that happened, and that should be considered. Like, that's weird that happened. It's up in the air.
Yeah, and so is this movie, but I like this director a lot, so maybe he could do some cool shit.
What's our next thing here?
So, acclaimed director Spike Lee and Jordan Peele, who recently did Get Out, and he's also known for, it's just called The Key and Peele Show?
Yeah. Well, no, it's just Key and Peele.
Key and Peele.
But yeah, that's it.
He's known for those. And him and Lee will be teaming up. Jordan Peele will be producing, and Spike Lee will be directing a KKK thriller called Black Klansman. Fucking wine is killing me right now with the slurred speech. And the Black Klansman will be about a guy who infiltrates the Ku Klux Klan. My phone is missing. I had the synopsis on there. Guys, stand by. We are very unprepared on this show.
Is the guy who's infiltrating it, is he white or is he black?
Pretty sure he's black.
How does that happen then?
Hold on.
How is he...
The Black Klan... Fucking... Where is it at? Hold on.
You want me to find it?
No, I got it.
All right, you got it.
All right. A true story of a black police officer who managed to somehow, it says that, somehow infiltrate the Ku Klux Klan in the late 1970s. That sounds really interesting.
Somehow.
I
don't know how that works.
That sounds really interesting. Yeah. And some people think Spike Lee's a genius. I don't always prefer his methods of getting across social messages. I think there's better ways to do it, like how Jordan Peele did it in Get Out, where he does it more through themes and metaphor than straightforward dialogue. So I like this pairing because maybe there can be a balance, because Spike Lee, if you've seen Do the Right Thing, he can really direct a movie. But like I said, I don't always love how he presents his stories, but this, I think it sounds really interesting since it's a biography too. Spike Lee also did Malcolm X, and these Spike Lee's kind of, he's been a pinnacle for the African American community for a long time, and I feel like Jordan Peele's kind of newer to that. Like, he's like the big thing in Hollywood right now. He's got a lot of movies that he's writing, and studios are trying to get him. So I feel like this is kind of a neat pairing, and it's a really interesting sounding movie as well. I mean, a black guy who infiltrates the KKK. It sounds like it can be intense, really in your face, racist, and I think it's coming out at like a really good time.
Oh, absolutely.
Especially with this fucking Nazis.
It's amazing that it's a true story, and I already like that off the bat it has a sense of humor of how crazy that sounds. With
somehow.
That yeah. Like, I don't know how this works, but now I want to see it because I'm intrigued on how that works. And it's, do you think it's going to have like any sense of humor about it, or very serious?
If like Peele has any, I know it says he's producing, but if he has any hand in it, I could definitely see some humor being played in it. Mm-hmm. And you know what? No, it definitely can, because Do the Right Thing is a drama, but it's also a comedy. Yeah. It's at certain points, like, there's some bizarreness to it that makes you laugh. And so I definitely think it could have some to some extent. Yeah, I think it definitely has some comedy because if it embraces kind of how absurd it is and doesn't take itself too seriously, it could be a home run.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah,
We'll definitely pay to see it.
and that's the first part of this episode.
Yeah. So what you're gonna hear is we're gonna cut to later on tonight when we're here with Dan. We're going to be reviewing it, and that should happen any second now. And we're back, and it's 10 p.m. I'm Ryan Nolan. I'm joined here by Mike Stuglis and Danny Stewart after much Italian food and many wines. How are you guys feeling?
I didn't know you were just jumping right into it.
Yeah, we're jumping right into this.
Dan, how'd you enjoy the U of I, even though we just talked about it?
I imbibed alcohol that could probably like kill like an infant.
An infant,
Like,
not a toddler, an infant.
is it
Maybe a
drinking?
ton.
Is it drinking
I
the
don't know.
alcohol or throwing the bottles at the infant?
Both. No, but I just this chick that I matched with on Tinder like a month ago just messaged me back now.
Oh, you messaged her. Good thing you're on your Tinder right now. Reviewing this movie.
Sorry, like I was just looking at my note. Like I saw that I had a notification from it. I was like, oh, what the fuck is this? And
That's
what
really
it was?
that's
what it
it
was?
So we'll see how
Listen,
that goes.
that's really fucking considerate of her to text you during the show. What a bitch.
Yeah, fuck that.
Oh no! Oh no! Hey!
Oh.
Alcohol's been consumed.
Not by me.
This is a
though.
poor time to
Not by
record.
me though.
Yes.
Ryan, we recorded 8 hours ago, 9
Yeah.
hours ago.
And the sauce was just a baby at that point. And boy, did we make a good sauce, ladies and gentlemen. If you were curious how that sauce turned out,
It was great.
yeah.
Meatballs and hot sausage and
Pork
and
cold
beef shank.
beef shank.
cold sausage and
If you want the recipe, visit one, watch Goodfellas. 2, visit the channel Binging with Babish. We'll give Babish credit.
remember Dr. Babbage?
That's a very niche comment, and I think I'm just going to continue and not address that because
We're reviewing a movie.
Because we saw a movie this week. We saw It,
It.
directed by Andy Muschietti, starring Bill Skarsgård, Finn Wolfhard, and Sophia Lillis in this movie.
Who?
You were in a rush there.
Yeah, just look in the Google Doc to see how I spelled it. This movie was a trip, and I'm not going to start with the positives. Who wants to start?
I will.
Are you
okay.
going to read the synopsis?
Oh,
Adaptation of
I
Stephen
got it right
King
here.
novel?
Yes, no, I got it. I got it.
A clown.
A group of bullied kids band together when a monster taking the appearance of a clown begins haunting children. That's very simple for a very complex movie. But let's jump into the positives, gentlemen. What did you think of this movie?
Dan, who was this written by?
Stephen King.
Hey,
I love Stephen King.
you get into it.
Stephen King is my second favorite author behind J.K. Rowling, who is the author of the Harry Potter series for
No
the
shit.
uninitiated.
Never heard of her.
for those that are living under a rock, but apparently they listen to this podcast but don't know what Harry Potter is. Well, I love it. I love it, and
What?
I love it.
Oh,
Don't interrupt. Right.
As a book, Stephen King's dialogue in the book is just great. I mean, between kids and then they go to adults, and like I've always complimented him greatly. Like he's the best author at just getting dialogue right between people. And it seems whoever wrote the screenplay for this did a great job at taking dialogue and getting into this group of kids, and their chemistry on the screen was just absolutely incredible. Like these kids were just fucking real kids fighting off monsters and clowns and all that noise, and it was great. Another positive, gotta say, Bill Skarsgård. I have to correct myself because a few weeks ago, when like the final trailer for It came out and we heard Pennywise talk for the first time, I was like, it was actually a news topic of ours where I said Pennywise sounds fucking stupid. Pennywise
Verbatim.
Pennywise was the best part of this movie. Bill Skarsgård topped Tim Curry's performance as Pennywise the clown, and his voice was not stupid. It was actually very incredible and pretty thrilling. And it's gonna turn into my next impression that I want to do because it's a good one.
Did you notice he changed between his Pennywise accent and his Swedish accent during the movie?
No.
He did that. It was really cool.
Well, because I know
I
there
read
was
beforehand
there
that
was
he
some
did
like
that, and I noticed
squeakiness
going
in
in.
his voice
Yes.
that I noticed that he'd go back to kind of like an accent, but I wasn't sure what it was. But now I do.
I really noticed it in the scene when he's like, "Aren't you afraid of me?" That one. That's kind of when because he kind of changed his vernacular in that one.
I like the scene before that with the door. That's a spoiler. I'm not going to talk about that.
Do you
We're
have
talking about the turtle, like the turtle references. Would that be a spoiler? It's
Yes.
it's a book spoiler.
This is all obscure. What we're talking
It's
about.
a book spoiler though. The book's been out for 31 years.
It's still a
If you think
spoiler.
it's a spoiler,
It's a spoiler.
But like, it's not a spoiler for the movie. It's a spoiler for the book.
It might be touched on later. Let's just not address it.
Yeah.
All right.
Any other positives? If it's not directly to mind, it's okay.
Finn Wolfhard, but you can talk about him.
Yeah,
if you want.
I was actually gonna talk about him. He's gonna be the first thing. Finn Wolfhard from Stranger Things, who plays Mike, was like besides Pennywise.
Well,
my
he plays
favorite thing.
Richie in the movie.
Richie.
plays Mike in
who's
Stranger
like
Things.
who's like the kid who's cracking all the jokes, and in this movie they take it to the extreme, and all his jokes include the F word and your mom jokes, and it's like really funny to see a 12-year-old talking like this because Stephen King's really good at capturing the dialogue among like kids. As you've said it before, like he talks, Richie talks how kids actually talk. Like he says, like they're like, what's the joke? It's like they it was something about Beaver, and he's like, "Oh, Beaver hasn't left dairy yet," or something like that. It was like a vagina joke. It was hilarious. So all his
Did you
jokes were
notice
kind of
the
centered
bully
around that.
girl's called Beverly Beaverly?
Is she?
At the beginning of the movie, they called her Beaver.
No, that's no good. Anyway,
She's got a red.
he was hilarious. He was hilarious, as you said. Skarsgård was great. And then I'll knock one more positive on top of that. Well, not actually on top of that. It was I actually really liked that instead of this movie being overly reliant on Pennywise and just like the scares, they actually really like developed all the kids, and it felt more like a drama with horror ties in it as opposed to just trying to be scary. I thought it was actually a lot like Split and Get Out, which came out earlier this year, which I really wasn't scared by them, but they were really atmospherical. So the atmosphere that surrounded them, no, you go ahead. The atmosphere that surrounded them was actually the best part of the movie.
I just wanted to ask a question. Would you say it's still a horror movie?
For the general audience, yeah.
Okay.
The thing that I regret doing is we watched the original within like 4 days. So I knew I could guess what was going to happen in a lot of the scenes, and I was generally correct. But if you don't know going into this movie, it's going to be like that first scene with Georgie, didn't say anything. Most people will not see that coming.
No.
Yeah.
So yeah, I thought it was for the general audience, it was definitely like a horror film, and I thought it succeeded in the atmosphere, and I thought Skarsgård was terrifying. The movie itself, I didn't find overly scary, but I found myself caring for the characters in the bizarre situations they were put in. So it succeeded in that aspect.
Okay. I see what you're saying.
What about you, Ryan? You hammered bastard.
Listen, guys, let's just take a moment. Have you ever just sat and watched a robin take to the air?
I've watched other birds, but I can't say it.
I'll
Robin
indulge in
specifically.
Have you ever-
indulge in your thing.
Have you ever taken a moment to just see life?
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
This movie has nothing to do with birds, but this movie was good.
Incredible analysis there by my friend Ryan. Unmatched analysis.
But I had a good
Really?
time. I had a good time watching it. I was also drunk during the movie.
Really?
Yeah.
When we didn't see that,
Still?
I was drunk. Yeah, I had what, 4 doubles?
I don't know.
That did me in, and the movie wasn't as scary
I-
because I was drunk, and so I was just like, oh, that's scary.
You
And
liked it, right?
I enjoyed it, but I was drunk then, and I'm drunk now, so I think that's good for like recalling the movie.
Just produce the episode.
We're in the
right?
same.
It was our fault the Patriots lost though, because
They were winning when
they
we
were
left.
winning when we left, and then we went and saw it, and then they lost.
But Dan, I'm not finished.
But it.
Oh, Ryan's
But Dan, I'm
not
not
finished somehow.
And it has nothing to do with birds, although I want it to. But this movie was, as everyone already touched on, a good time. It had some good spooks, and
Yeah, Mike and his family.
and I would recommend it to anyone looking to have a good fright going into October. And what are we? Oh yeah, we have negatives. Dan, why don't you jump into those negatives?
Fuck. I guess this is being pretty nitpicky, and I'm gonna be this guy. Since I read the book, there were just small things that I just noticed that I was just like, why'd they do that? One of them being like making Beverly a damsel at some points in time, when Beverly's supposed to be like kind of like the hardest character in the group. Like, she's been through some shit, and like she definitely isn't one to just be like made a damsel in distress. So that I kind of didn't like, but really, I mean, it doesn't affect the movie overall. It's just different from the book, and I didn't really like it. And then also, since I did read the book and watched the original It like a week before, I wasn't ever really frightened. But, I mean, it's not a bad thing knowing it was coming. I mean, when you watched Harry Potter for the first time, like, you knew Voldemort was going to be there and everything like that. But it lost some of its scariness because of that, but it didn't take anything away. Like, I root for people who didn't read the book and didn't see the original It to be scared, and we were in a theater full of those people, and there were screams and yells and stuff like that, and one chick goes, "Oh fuck, that scared the shit out of me," and I was like, "Bitch, shut the fuck up." And yeah, so, and I heard a black guy, "Oh fuck no, man, why you going in there?" Did you ever hear that guy? He was over on the right.
He was hilarious.
Yeah, he was. But other than those are some pretty nitpicky fucking things. So that's all I got.
Well, up until I'm seriously not going to hold it against the movie, like I said, because we just watched the original so recently that I think I knew it was going to happen. But the closing three, I would say, big horror pieces in this movie, because every character has their scare with the creature. Mm-hmm. But the closing three, to where they're all together, were like pretty, like, I didn't see coming, and they were handled really well. Specifically, they're not spoilers. The house, the projector, and the sewer. I thought those were all handled fucking perfectly, and it really made me really, really like the movie. But I have two negatives that bothered me the whole movie. Two is whenever they were trying to achieve scares without Pennywise, and that's like use the characters' fears against them, they kind of came across as like campy, and I thought like a little like over the top. I don't know. I just felt like I for a horror movie, I even felt like they were kind of out of place, and I don't know. I was so like set on the character of Pennywise that I felt like the CGI that was used in those scenes was really noticeable and kind of poor, and it kind of took me out of it for those segments. And they were kind of meant to be scary, and they really weren't.
And I will say, like, it was good as an adaptation, because those things, like, and I won't get into it, but like those things that they used to scare the kids were actually things from the book. So I was surprised to see it. I'm like, wow, they even included that. But in the case, I completely agree with you. Like, they just kind of weren't frightening because of poor CGI, and Pennywise was just so good that it overshadowed him completely.
And it doesn't come up once. It comes up about 3 times in the movie, and every time it came up, I was out of it. I was kind of like, that doesn't look good, or that's kind of dumb. So, unfortunately, that's a pretty big negative. And the second one would be, some people might disagree with me, but even I haven't read the book, so I can't say, but I don't think the character of Stan adapts to the the movies well at all because you're not really able to flesh him out, and he just comes across as a giant pussy and kind of someone who does nothing for the plot. In both movies, he really comes across as someone who just kind of sits there and just bitches the whole time. And maybe it's realistic, you know, that person probably does exist. There's a good way to look at it, but for me, I just felt like it's someone you could have cut out of the movie and probably dedicated more screen time to somebody else. I would have loved to see fucking Richie, played by Finn Wolfhard, to have 10 more minutes of screen time instead of that fucking dipshit played by Stan. That kid wasn't a good actor either. I don't want to say it, but he was the only one of the kids. He has one scene where he kind of like gives a monologue, and he sucked. So that character, I'm just not a fan of. I don't think he adapts well to screen. But all in all, still really strong movie. Ryan, do you have anything to add, or are you just gonna say you were drunk and had a popcorn up your ass and birds flying out of it?
Well, Mike, if I'm thinking negatives, if there was something, a glaring problem with the movie is that I was drunk during it and that I am drunk now. And if I could change something, it would be that I wasn't drunk. So I was able to look at the movie analytically instead of just letting it show into my face. And
a couple of your giggles during the movie made me laugh because you laughed.
I laughed at weird parts.
Yeah.
But I have no negatives because I wasn't capable of it. I am upset about that.
You have no negatives, yet you're not giving it a 5 out of 5.
Well, it simply wasn't a 5 out of 5. But just because I couldn't find problems doesn't mean it's a perfect movie.
That's fair.
Like I can.
Do you
enjoy
think
it.
you could give like a fair score though, like being
I'm not
intoxicated?
Sure. But like
what
Mike,
are we scoring this?
Well, hold on. I mean, Mike, I can have a turkey sandwich while I'm drunk, and it could be great, but it's still a turkey sandwich. You know, it's not a filet mignon.
It's not an Italian club.
Yeah, like
it's not a Ted Danson.
A turkey sandwich goes a long way, but it's not the best. And I'm not saying it is comparable to a turkey sandwich, but it's certainly a good movie, and that's why I'm scoring it at a 3.5 out of 5 Goldblums. What do you have, Mike?
I have the same score as the drunk guy. 3.5 out of 5 Goldblums.
A 4.2 as a fanboy and as everything. It was a great adaptation, and I loved this movie. It was really well done, and I'm giving it a 4.2.
So like a 3.8, some shit like that.
7.2 out of 10.
3.5
Nope.
plus 3.5
that
plus
might
4.2 equals 11.2 divided by 3 is 3.73.
So that's a 3.73 Goldblums out of 5
7.5.
Goldblums.
3.75.
Any final thoughts before we teleport into the past?
Another strong,
Michael
I'm
J.
going to call
Fox
it
has-
drama horror, because that's what Split and Get Out were, and this succeeded on the same level. It continued the trend, and really entertaining. I would rewatch this movie again, even though I have flaws with it. Like, it was fucking awesome, and Skarsgård was so good.
And I will say, at the end of the movie, it gets revealed. Well, if you're a fucking stupid idiot, you don't read books, you know that this book has a completely other side.
Are you
to
guys
it.
on? Yeah, are you guys on board for a part 2?
Yeah.
That's what we'll ask.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
they're already casting for part 2 because this movie's a huge hit. But they would have had to make it. Imagine if they just didn't make part 2 and that was it. It was just it. Yeah.
So many puns. with this.
And now that we're talking about going back into the past, Michael J. Fox has Parkinson's.
What?
Back to the Future, Michael J. Fox.
Is it because I made that time travel reference?
Gotta get back in time. Beep.
Wait, what is this referencing?
Back to the Future. Ryan said Back to the Past because in Back to the Future they really go back to the past, but then they have to get back to the future, and they never made Back to the Future 4 because Michael J. Fox has Parkinson's.
So we're gonna talk about his disability on this show.
Well, I don't know what you guys talked about earlier.
We didn't talk about that.
Oh, well. now you
And
guys-
Ryan was way more analytical then. It's gonna be funny to see like
difference.
the change of like from the first segment to the second segment to how he's fine again in the third. Like arguably earlier I was worse because I was slurring my words a lot.
I was-
racial slurring.
I wasn't doing
I
that.
was moderately sober in our earlier recording that we're about to jump to in a moment.
What did you guys talk about?
The news and then like our worst day
Yeah,
at work.
Oh, yeah.
And now we're just giving sneak previews.
Now
I'm not even
now I
cutting
gotta
this.
poop, and I want you guys to get out of my room.
Well, I gotta go to bed.
I have to go do fucking homework.
Well, we're about to jump into the past, so buckle up, buckaroos.
Where we're going, we don't need roads. Beep, beep, beep.
All right, and we're back, and it's me and Mike from 6 hours ago in the same room from the news. And today we're talking about the worst job we've ever had. Now, Mike, do you have something in mind, or do you want to start us off?
Are we doing worst job or worst day because of Labor Day?
It could be worst day, absolutely. We're doing this because Labor Day just happened this week. And I wanted to talk about the worst day of work or the worst job you've ever had, because everyone's got a story, you know?
You go first.
Okay, I'll go first. So around this time last year, I was back at home. I was at junior college, and I needed a job. I just wanted to make some money on the side, right? And I got really desperate for jobs, and I was looking all over the place. And I found one on the jobs listing on Craigslist. In the downtown area of our hometown, I found a job at a small restaurant as a dishwasher, and I needed something. So I took dishwasher, even though it's a really horrible job. And I worked there for a day, because the moment I got into that place, it's one of those restaurants where it's really tiny. There's only maybe 4 or 5 tables, but they had a menu that was really, really big. It was like 3 pages of just text. Like, there's not space for images. It's just a bunch of different dishes, and because of that,
Are you gonna name the place?
I could say it.
Yeah.
It's White Street Cafe in downtown Frankfort, Illinois. It's never go there. It's very dirty. And so I got in there, and after seeing the menu, I realized very quickly that for the size of the place, because of that, they need a lot of dishes to make all the variants of food. And so I had to do probably 3 times more dishes than a normal dishwasher would. And so I had a 10-hour day there, my first day. And one of the things like I really appreciate dishwashers for is that they're like getting soaked all day, at least in the place I was at. So by the end of the day, from using steel wool and working with bleach all day, my hands were just white and stank of bleach for like the next 3 days, and I was just laboring all day. And I was like trying my best not to complain or anything, but god damn it, that place sucked. And it was funny because during my interview, the guy like knew that place was shitty, and he said, "You're not just gonna work here until you make some money and then quit, right?" And I was like, "No, that would be dishonest, sir." And then I shook his hand. He's like, "You got the job."
And then you stayed one day.
Mhm. And after I made some money, and I left.
So you broke your handshake with the guy.
And because of that, I didn't even go back for the check.
Really?
No, I don't even know if they mailed it to me. I kept their T-shirt that they gave me, so I guess we're even for the most part. But dishwashers, man, one of the hardest workers out there. That's brutal.
So was it the place or just being a dishwasher?
It was the place and dishwashing at that place, because their menu was so large and because there were so many dishes going around. It was shitty because, like, obviously at any restaurant when you're a dishwasher, you're really not going to get a second of break. But because that place was just insane, it was just a lot of different things. A lot of moving parts.
I think it kind of depends too on the environment. Like my dad still says like his favorite job ever. He was a dishwasher at a steakhouse with like his best friends, and all they did was like they did their work, but they just fucked off the entire shift too, just screwing around with each other, playing pranks. So that sounds like it could be fun because you're in the back, you're kind of unsupervised, but. You know, like I worked at Buffalo, and I was the busboy, but I worked next to the dishwasher when I'd throw out trash back there, and dude, he was just like, dude, I'm here till like 2 a.m. just doing this, and he starts at like 6, and he's just doing the same shit over, and it sucks.
It absolutely depends on the context. And I was supposed to have a coworker. A lot of times, and not in the restaurant I currently work at as a server, but a lot of restaurants will have multiple dishwashers, right, depending on volume.
Mm-hmm.
But I was supposed to have a coworker. There was a middle-aged Latino woman named Nina. She was supposed to be working with me that whole day. And you know what she did, Mike?
She didn't show up.
No, she was there, but the entire day she just spent outside smoking, and she'd come in every hour or so, just say like, "You're doing good. I'm gonna go for a smoke." It's like, all right, Nina, you do you. But
what a bitch.
Yeah, a little bit. So things got better after I left, though. I got a server job at the wonderful
Legends
Bar and Grill in Mokina.
You want to tell people how you lost
Oh.
that job?
There's a story. So as I said, last year I was at junior college for the fall semester, and I was transferring to the University of Missouri in beautiful, sunny Columbia, Missouri, where we're recording this right now.
Where I have the shades down in my room.
Yeah, we're sitting on the fucking floor. But I worked there as a server for maybe 4 months. But what I didn't tell them when they hired me is that the moment I was doing the interview, I knew I was getting into Mizzou. But I didn't tell them I was transferring to school because why would they hire a guy who's going to be gone in 3 or 4 months, right? And so without them knowing that, I kept working there. And then I thought to myself, well, I can't just say I'm transferring to school, a normal reason. I decided to craft this master plan that was, looking back on it, the stupidest thing I've ever done. And I've done a lot of stupid things, Mike. I decided I was going to tell them that my parents were divorcing and that I had to go to another state with my dad.
Instead of just quitting.
Yeah, instead of
Like a
just quitting
man.
and saying nothing.
Yeah.
I like a man, absolutely. I'm very, very much immature for this. But I told them that my dad was bringing me to another state so he could pay for my school, or else I wouldn't have any school. And the day I went to do this, I was opening, and it was just me and the manager, who's a tatted up, bald guy. He's got I just said he's got tattoos. He's bald, goatee, tough looking guy.
Tatted up.
Tatted up, as I said. Rough looking dude. And so he's the manager that was there that day, and I had to tell him, and I just told him, hey, I got a lot of stuff going on right now, and my parents are divorcing, and I'm sorry I got to do this to you, but I gotta go in maybe a month. I don't know when, but I'll let you know. And he was looking at me real intense in that moment. I was kind of scared. I thought he was gonna call me out. And then I see they're watering up. They're watering up, Mike. And he grabs my arm and he shakes my hand real rough. Gets both hands on it. He goes, "I know what you're going through, brother." I'm going through the same thing right now. Listen, after your shift, we'll go out back. We'll talk about this, bud. He walked away tearing up, and I was just like, oh, shit. So for the next 3 hours at my shift, I had to think of this entire story to tell him about, and I sat back there while he was smoking a pack, and I poured my heart out for him, and I lived a lie for about a month there, and every once in a while, another coworker would come up, and they'd say, "Hey, are you doing okay? I heard about what's going on with you," and I'd have to get real quiet and sad to myself, and I'd be like, "Oh yeah, things are real rough on my end, buddy, but thanks for saying something."
I hope that's your biggest regret you've ever done.
I have
It's
a lot
a
of
fucking sleazy
I have
thing
regrets,
you did.
and it was so dumb.
That's like sociopathic.
I know. I bet if I saw a shrink, they'd be like, "You have a problem."
Yeah.
But it was so dumb. But at the same time, living that lie was kind of fun.
You made a grown man cry.
Yeah, I know. That was so bad. But I didn't know. I didn't know he was having these problems. He was having a divorce and custody battle with his ex-wife.
Why didn't you just say, "I'm going to college"?
I didn't think it was that easy. And the moment I got hired there, I was like, I can't tell him.
You know what I did at Buffalo?
What?
I walked in. I said, "I have a better job opportunity. Thank you." And they understood. They're like, "Any way I can make you stay?" I'm like, "No. Making 12 flat or whatever."
I'm not brave like you. That's all it was.
Brave? It's just you're going into business and you're shitty with conflict. How does that work?
I don't know.
You got to get better at that.
Maybe I'm headed for a train wreck here. Well, that's my worst job. And another story. What about what's the worst job you ever had?
Well, since I'm a avid complainer, I have never liked a job, but I've gotten life experiences from all of them.
Okay.
I like Buffalo. I made a good bit of money, and I learned about hard work in the service industry.
Yeah.
And so I didn't like while I was there because I had to give up my weekends a lot. But in terms of a job, it wasn't bad. It was doable. Go in every night, get a nice fat check on your way out.
You were just a
of tips.
busboy?
I was just a busboy,
Okay.
which is not a bad job. Just a lot of work. And for most of my time there, I was the only busboy on the floor. And if you've ever been to
Wow.
Buffalo, it's fucking packed at night.
That's rough.
So that was a tough job, but kind of taught me to work through pressure and stuff. And then a second job, I worked construction. It was a lot of hard work, but again, I got to work with my friends, like one of my best friends, Clint Nooner. I got to work with him under his dad. Did I like it? No, most people don't like their job, but that was like very informative. I learned stuff, just general stuff about, cleaning, working in a working
Is that
in a
what you did
warehouse.
day to day?
A lot of stuff like sodding grass. I did a lot of different things, and that was very informative. My worst one, though, which a buffoon could do, was working at the Hy-Vee gas station. And Hy-Vee preaches how they have all their employees are nice and they always have a smile on their face. That's like their thing. Well, that's in the grocery store. When you're at the gas station, you're with all the fucking degenerates. Every person I worked with there was intelligent one-on-one. You could have a nice conversation with them. But there was something about them that was just off or fucked up that kind of didn't let them succeed in life. There was this kid named Terry who was like an ex-Air Force guy. And I mean, he was just a total fucking pretentious cock. And like everything he said, he was so full of himself. He's like, "Oh, I'm writing a book. I'm doing this. I'm doing this." I'm like, "Why are you here? Why are you at a gas station?" And it's because I think he just had some mental problems. So everyone there, you never knew what you were. One, with the customers, you never knew what you were getting because nobody, I don't care who you are, when you walk into a gas station, you're not there to stay. You grab a snack, get the fuck out. So you're not there for conversation. So that whole fucking be nice and put on a smile bullshit doesn't work when you're at a gas station because no one's there to talk unless they're old people, which are the best customers. My worst was instead of going to a fast food restaurant, this lady comes in with her daughter. You know, I'll call her fat too. She was fat. Fuck her. She was a bitch. This was my worst day. She comes in. And she's like looking through the food. She's like looking at the chicken. She's looking at the wings and the hot dogs. And,
Wait, you guys had chicken and wings?
Yeah, we had like a full like food area.
At a gas station.
At a gas station.
Wow, that's really nice.
But it wasn't good.
Okay,
and then she gets her eyes on the pizza. And she's like, "Ooh, this pizza looks good." It's terrible pizza. It's gas station pizza. And she comes in, and I don't know, it's probably been sitting out like an hour, and and I'm sitting at the cash register just checking people out, minding my own business, and she goes, "This pizza's burnt. I want another slice." One, I can go back and say it wasn't burnt.
Yeah.
But she goes, "I want a free slice." And I'm like, I had that bullshit Hy-Vee smile on my face, and I was like, "Oh, I'm sorry, ma'am. We can't cook another one." I mean, that's just how it is. You buy it as it is. If you want to wait a little longer, I'll have another one out here. And so I thought that was the end of the conversation. And I go to check out this lady, and she just goes, "Asshole."
Oh my God.
And then this other lady who I'm checking out turns around and goes, "Well, that's not nice." And this lady was very cordial. And then this fucking bitch with her daughter sets the perfect example and goes, "You know what, fat ass, mind your own business." When she's talking to the lady I'm checking out. And so those two get in an argument about how that lady was treating me, the one with the daughter.
Mm-hmm.
And so then they trade insults, and then the other lady goes and fucking I check her out. She's like, "It's unbelievable. You're as young as my son is," and she's talking to you like that. I'm like, I gotta deal with this bullshit every day. I work at a gas station, and so I check her out. I'm like, "Have a nice day," and then I have to check. So fucking first off, a person who has a temper like me, I don't like being talked to like that. One, at any time. Two, when I can't say anything back. I wanted to fucking throw her face into the stove. I was so upset because of how she treated me and proceeded to talk to another person like that.
Yeah.
And she gets away with it, and I have to check her out too. I had to check that bitch out with her daughter. And so I was just like, I had to sit there and fucking take it. And I was sitting there, and my boss came up to me, and I was steaming. Like, I was like fucking, I had to walk away from the cash register. And he's like, "Hey man, it's just a customer. You got to get through it." And I was just like, "Do not fucking put your hand on me. Do not talk to me right now."
Yeah.
I had to walk away. I had to like walk out of the gas station for a minute because I was so close to just ripping into that lady and fucking hitting her. No,
So,
I wouldn't hit a woman.
You were
but
you were close, like while that engagement was happening between her and the customer.
yes, dude. I mean, the way that this lady was talking to people and just thinking how she was on top of the world. You are at a gas station looking for food when there's we live next. I mean, don't live. It's stationed next to a Wendy's,
Yeah.
a fucking McDonald's. There's a grocery store inside, but you come to the gas station for food, and you're looking for handouts. Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
What a low person. What a low piece of society she was. And I deal with that. I couldn't do anything about it.
Props
So that
for
was my
making it.
worst day.
You made
Dude,
it through.
ugh, I that still gets me upset.
I could tell you're getting
That
agitated.
still
a
gets
bit.
me upset.
Yeah. Well,
Because you know me. I walk by someone on the street. If they're pissing me off, I say something to them.
yeah.
And so, like, in that situation, having to keep my mouth shut, wow. I just had to make my money so I can go to school.
If you could go in a time machine and redo that, would you have yelled at her in that moment?
I'd have to check my funds.
What do you mean?
If I had enough funds to where I could have, I would have 100%.
Oh,
Oh, and I would have gotten fired, and it would have been great.
good day. Well, there's people like that out there. I even get that when as a server. There's sometimes people that will complain about the food so they can, in hopes, get that food for free. And it's nuts. I've had that happen a few times while I've been serving, and just maybe
Oh,
4 or
I'm pretty
5
sure she
months.
paid with an EBT card too.
What is that?
The fucking food stamps?
Oh, that's what that is.
Fucking bitch.
Man, customer service is hard, dude. Not everyone can do it.
I can't.
It's
That's
apparently not you.
no.
Mm.
You don't. I don't have the temperament. But yeah, that was rough, man. That irked me all day.
Now that's the worst day, but is that the worst job? That gas station?
Yeah, because it was just busy work. I mean, it was easier than the other ones, but I got nothing from it.
Yeah.
I just made money, and I had to like just do work that wasn't fun, and just be looked down upon.
I see what you're saying.
Like even if like this would be an example of you're checking someone out and you give them the change back, and they're like, this change is incorrect. Like, no, it's not. I'm not a fucking idiot because I work at a gas station. You're not
Yeah.
gonna jip me out of this. People tried that shit all the time, man. It's ridiculous.
Did you have one of those robots that shoots out the change automatically into the cup?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Then it's impossible. What are you talking about?
Unless I rang it up incorrectly,
Oh.
which I'm sure happened, but I would always correct that
Yeah.
and fix it. But it was irritating.
Absolutely.
But that's why you go to college, so you don't have to work at a gas station.
I was just gonna say, doesn't that make you feel happy that we have the opportunity?
I don't have to go back there. I
Yeah.
would work at any of those jobs I worked at previously like 100 times before going back to a gas station.
Yeah.
And
Jesus.
it was awful.
Was that the only option you had for jobs out here?
It was just the one I got the job for.
Okay.
I applied to Hy-Vee. The lady who hired me was very nice. I applied actually for a stocking, and she goes, I show up for orientation, and we all had our name tags, and it said, she's like, we're gonna put you in the gas station because you're a little more experienced, and the experienced people make more money. That's what I was happy about. I
Yeah.
was making more money than everyone else, but it was kind of like, also I don't know, it was like a give and take because I worked a lot. I was working like 40 hours a week there. It was droning. I was like working full time there.
Yeah.
It sucked.
Especially there, that'll take a bit out of you after every shift.
I knew the life of a gas station employee.
I'm amazed you didn't pick up cigs. Or did you?
No. I knew them though. I knew all the brands. There were times though when I'd pick up a cigar during my shift and go smoke it with my boss outside. Because I just had enough.
It seems like most gas station attendants also are smokers.
Well, in that shift I worked night. I worked 3 to 11:15.
3 in the morning or 3 p.m.
3 p.m. to 11:15. So like I was just getting home at like 11:30.
That sucks.
'Cause I didn't live too far.
Yeah.
And get home at like 11:30 and just like fucking wanting to jump out the window. Oh, the sauce has got to be stirred.
The sauce has gotta be
That's
stirred.
a sign.
That's a sign. Well, should we wrap it up then?
Yeah.
All right. That is this week's podcast. Remember that each and every Monday morning we're uploading to YouTube, SoundCloud, and iTunes, and we're gonna have links for those on our Facebook, and Twitter page, which we're also gonna have links for in the description. Next week, what are we reviewing?
Mother.
Mother, directed by
Exclamation point.
with an exclamation point, directed by Darren Aronofsky. It stars Jennifer Lawrence and Javier Bardem. I suggest you go see it if you can. That comes out on Thursday night. Any final thoughts, Mike?
Let us know what your least favorite job you ever had was.
Please.
If you want to in the comics.
We're slurring right now.
Comments. And I even though most people that listen will just directly text me anyway. So let me know what your least favorite job ever was or your worst day. See if it tops mine or Ryan's.
Yeah. And as always, thank you for listening.
What if God was one of us? Just a slob like one of us.